Hey, welcome everybody to another edition of Friedman Adventures. While you are here right now, please make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell so that every time there's a new show, I'll show up at your house and say, hey, we've got some new content for you. I may take the silverware and then take off out the door, but I'll let you know that there is a new show. If you're into freshwater fishing, I advise you all to go to Bass Bros. Same thing. Hit that bell, subscribe over there on YouTube, and also you can follow both of us on Facebook and Instagram. Today we've got a really special show. Two really great guys from CCA. What is CCA? We're going to learn all about that. Wayne Kotow and Chris Arechaederra. Did I do that right?
Yeah.
Más o menos, brother.
Más o menos.
Okay, very good. Hey, great to have you guys here.
Great to be here, Phil.
Man, I'll tell you, yesterday was a big day for you because you were down in San Diego, the Coastal Social. It looked like a great event. I saw a lot of friends on there. I saw Pete Gray. I saw Matt. So many, Benny Florentino, Matt Florentino, Scott Buchert. I have to mention him. He did some traffic control for you, right?
Helped us out when the truck came in.
I love Scott. He's a good guy.
Yes.
So how was that yesterday?
It was a great event.
Yeah.
You know what? People wanted to get out. This was like the first time we lost Fred Hall. We lost all of our shows.
I was going to say that, right?
And people wanted to get out. And so being able to go down to Dana Landing and Fastlane Kayaks and be down at there outside, the vendors showed up, the people showed up. We had a great seminar with, we had Decker out there, Florentino, Benny and Matt, Kevin Nakata, great seminar. The Dana Landing guys put on a great barbecue with the Traeger pulled pork sandwiches.
It was just, you're talking
it was a good day. I mean, it was just a beautiful sunshine day. TB Metal Art was out there selling his beautiful artwork. And then all the other vendors that came along too. There was almost a dozen vendors out there.
That's great.
It was just well attended. People wanted to come out. They got great deals on some product. And we had a good time. You know,
Chris, I think there is that void because there's no Fred Hall. So we haven't had the community come together, and this was an opportunity to do that.
Absolutely. I mean, we kind of talked before the show here. It was building up. I mean, a lot of people wanted to get out really to, go talk to your friends, go talk to your vendors. And overall, it was a really, really great day. We can't thank Dana Landing enough, Fastlane Kayaks, everyone for hosting us yesterday. It was awesome. It was really awesome.
All right, we're going to get into a lot of different stuff, but first let's talk just a little fishing. Wayne, you fished all around this big, beautiful world of ours. On Facebook this morning, I put up a post saying I'm so grateful for the friends I have around the world because I've been lucky to travel. So have you. Philippines, taught in China for 3 years, taught in Costa Rica, Mexico. So I've been blessed that way. Korea, I've been, all the countries that are around China I got to travel to. Where is one of the best, and if it's here in Estados Unidos, you can say, but where's one of the most exotic bitchin' places you've ever fished?
Wow, that's tough.
That's a gotcha question.
Oh, there's a gotcha question because, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be able to not only fish in all 50 states of this nation, but I've also fished around the world. And they're all good. They're all unique. That's why I love this sport.
Yeah, you're right.
It doesn't matter if I'm using 2-pound test to go catch a trout or I'm using a 150-pound test to go catch the cow.
You see, that's what I love about you. Yeah, and that's what makes things special. There's a guy named Eddie Leland. He's an old captain. And I'll tell you what, that guy gets as much joy out of catching a 300-pound YFT as he does catching a barred perch that's about this big, right?
Absolutely. You size the gear down. I'm a fan and I'm a tackle whore. I love this industry because I love where it's going. I mean, we all came back from the broomstick on a Penn 500 or a Senator, trying to throw that 50 to 80 pound mono with an anchovy. And now to what we've got now, we're using these little bait cast rods and reels and slow pitch rods. And you look at it and we're using what I consider bass gear, freshwater gear out there catching big fish. I love it that the technology's there. Absolutely. And I am a fan of the technology. Chris and I, when we go out, we're always trying something new. So a new rod, reel, line, a new knot, a hook, a jig, a new technique. Look at the slow pitch. It's not new. I mean, it's just an evolution from the butterfly jigging that we did 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
But look at where the tackle is now compared to when we started that.
I was in China for 3 years teaching, and when I came back, I could see that things were moving really fast, Chris. I mean, tackle, techniques, everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, just in the last, say, 5 years, even 10 years, it's just night and day to what we had then versus what we had now.
The internet is doing that, though.
Yeah, exactly.
If you really think about what's going on, we're moving all of our freshwater bass techniques over to saltwater. Before, they never really mixed that way. But if you look at what we're doing technique-wise, we're learning techniques from around the world, and they're learning techniques from us. You look at what we're doing with the bluefin tackle, a lot of that kite stuff, or even the swordfish with the deep drop, that was stuff they were doing back east. We're taking those techniques and making them West Coast, and we're being very successful. And that the internet opened all that up to all of us.
Yeah, it's a small world now, isn't it?
There's nothing out there that we don't say, I'm going to Google that, and I can find it. And if we can't, you're mad. You
amazing.
expect to find everything out there. If I want to learn anything about how to fish, I can go out and find Dave Hansen and his website. What does he say? You want to learn how to fish? I can teach you because I've got 400, 600 videos out there to do it.
Yeah, I know.
He's one of 1,000 people out there that are putting out these videos. So there's nothing out there that you can't learn or you shouldn't be able to learn from, looking it up.
Speaking of Dave Hansen, just the other day I didn't hear it, but Bob Osborne, who does our fisheries, whatever, he's an expert in fisheries. Anyway, he said Dave Hansen says this week that the weather's going to warm, and when it does, the yellows are going to bite.
And what happened?
I filed it away and frickin' Coronado Islands and boogers out there on the San Diego and boom, just chewing on the yo-yo and on the dropper loop. And man, Dave nailed it. He's one of those guys that's dialed in.
Yeah, but I mean, that's years and years of history. It's all of us could kind of forecast these things. The full moon was coming, the weather, the high pressure was coming through, the bait's out there, it's been sitting out there. We all kind of looked at all the factors. The one that everybody's still second guessing is albacore, right? Yeah. Tell me who's got that crystal ball, because we've all been guessing about that La Nina cycle coming through to when that albacore is going to come back.
I have the crystal ball.
Yeah,
I do. Listen, so La Nina, it's what they're saying right now is it's either going to be a neutral kind of situation or leaning toward a La Nina. And that could all change. But a guy that I know really well, Tommy Holland, and every time Tommy gives me info, there's been times in the past where I've gone, he's an old-time captain, I've gone, no freaking way, I'm not buying this. And it's freaking right on. So he goes, hey, there's a longliner coming into San Diego selling fresh albacore. This was yesterday. And I go, really? And he goes, yeah, these guys, when they're going to and fro, San Diego, they go out 1,000 miles in longline albacore, they throw feathers in the water. Mm-hmm. And the word is that he got these fish about 110 miles from SD. So I even bounced that off Bill Kavanaugh from the Intrepid. And Bill goes, oh, yeah, they get fish every year. It doesn't say anything about whether we're going to have albacore or not, because there's a few fish that are around. But, man, that seems like a pretty good omen to me. And talking to Bob Osborne, he said, yeah, so far, right now, if I were to look at it, this year looks a lot like 2012.
Yeah.
It was okay on the albacore.
That's right.
Not great, but we caught a few. So,
Which 2012 was the end of the cycle, towards the end of the cycle.
Yeah.
Because the heart of the cycle was 2004 through 2008, 10, somewhere in there, where we were catching albacore in January.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was the heart of the matter, right? So you got to look at it and go, okay, follow the bait, which is the difference between an El Nino and a La Nina cycle between the anchovies and the sardine.
Correct.
Right? And we're coming in that shift right now.
Cooler water.
A little bit cooler water. Watch the barracuda, right? Which right now we got a bunch of small ones in.
Yep.
Right? They're not the legals, but they're small. But that's the precursor cycle to the shift, usually. And that's what we're all watching. I mean, you got to listen to the old guys. They know because they've lived through multiple cycles of this,
Absolutely. Chris?
Wouldn't that be epic to have albacore this year after the year that we just had?
Yeah. Some people, Chris, say to me, they're going like, why do you want to wish our frickin' big bluefin away for these albacore that are not that big? But albacore, I mean, I grew up catching those things. So probably you. I mean, they just are such a cool fish with those wings out and that purple water, and you can see them down there at about 100 feet, it seems like. They're so majestic, and they are so good to eat. They are so good. Both sashimi, you can grill them, do a variety of things cooking-wise. Man, I love those fish.
Yeah, I think the last time I caught an albacore, I was probably this tall or so. So, I think we're all due. We're all due for albacore.
It'll cycle through. And then, just because they get the albacore through doesn't mean the bluefin's going to go away. It'll cycle the yellowfin later in the year like we always used to have, right?
Yeah.
So we'd have the albacore early, and then we'd have the yellowfin and dorado show up later.
Yeah, right. Like in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean the bluefin's going to go away.
Yeah, I can remember being in San Diego and catching albacore, and then all of a sudden 2 boat lines go boom, boom. Both boat lines are gone. And I go, I think some big eye have finally moved in here.
Yeah, those are the days too.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff, right?
I mean, but look at it. We're cycling back with the swordfish and the marlin too. I mean, they went away for a little while. It's just a normal cycle of events that we go through.
And when you get into that downside of the cycle, some people start to doom and gloom and they think it's all over with. And it's like you say, it's cycles. To give you a perfect example, I've told this story before, so if Steve falls asleep during this, you'll know why. But I was a kid on the Redondo special, and there was an old bait boat guy. And at this time, he was just going on the boat all the time. His name was Ray Greenwood. Great guy and very knowledgeable. I mean, been in the probably since the early 1900s, as I look back now. And we weren't catching diddly. I mean, for months. It was sucko, man. You go out on the half-day boat with 60 people and come back with 3 blue perch and a Spanish mackerel. And I was convinced. This, I don't think I'm going to get my captain's license. I might want to do something else with my life because this looks... And Ray Greenwood cycles. Yeah. Don't worry, cycles.
What years were that?
And I thought he was nuts. I thought he was an old fisherman, not that smart. And guess what? Guess who wasn't that smart? Me. That would have been like late 70s, 80s.
Yeah,
like
right
that.
in the transition period.
Yeah, so right then. So maybe even earlier, like mid 70s, like that. So, wow, what can I tell you, man? The guy had it dialed in. There are cycles.
Yeah. That was right when we were going into we're going to freeze to death. We're going into the ultimate winter. Remember that cycle?
The Pleistocene was coming back?
We were going the other way versus this, we're all going to die because we're all going to fry right now. They don't understand that this is just a normal cycle that the world goes through.
Well, there's nothing like creating a crisis to raise money and get and to control people. So, oh my God, the ice age is coming back. Or, so yeah, I get that. But we're not going to get political on it. Oh, maybe we are going to get a little political on this show.
Yeah, it's kind of tough with what I do.
Yeah, right.
I guess we
are going to get political. Yeah. All right, one more time. Where's one of your favorite places outside of this country to fish?
I love fishing in Mexico.
Yeah,
Baja,
me too.
The Baja Coast. I
mean,
I live in San Diego, or we live in San Diego, so it's right there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love Cedros. Yeah. I love going down there. It's right now because there's only so many operations going in there, and I can't wait to get down there because it's been untouched for a year now.
Yeah.
But it has all the different pieces, right? So you get there early and you can get white sea bass and the halibut, and the calicos are just thick in that kelp bed.
Oh my God.
The water stays cold down there, so that kelp bed is beautiful.
Yep. Grows like crazy in that
you have all
water.
the other species in there. You can catch a dozen species in a day there. But then in the fall, it changes and the pelagics come through. You got an opportunity to go catch tuna and wahoo down there in that same zone. It's gold.
People don't even think about white sea bass, halibut, and that kind of fishery there, but it's epic.
It's there.
Yeah.
It's just timing, right? So they go in, they'll spawn early in the season, and normally when they open in May or June, so they're up on the beach, and then the white sea bass are in there too, right along the rocks, just around from the salt bed or the salt factory. It's gold. I love that spot.
I love it
and it's
too.
just far enough away where you're away. It's Old Town. The town itself is just so nice. It's just so quiet and peaceful.
Yeah, I agree. I was talking to a guy who's a pongero out there yesterday, and he was sending me photos of bitch and halibut. They were catching big calicos, nice yellows. That was all going on. And I said to him, hey, how do you like this for an idea? I thought, what if we did a trip where we drove, like our first night's in Ensenada, and we go out, we fish there. Then our next time is San Quintin, and then we go down there. And he comes in and picks us up and takes us out to Cedros. It's not that far.
No.
And we do that. And then, a guy that likes to take more fish than he probably should, you don't have to worry about it. You got it in the car, you're going home, and you get to hit 3 different Baja venues. I mean I'm like you. I love Baja.
Figure they come over to Cedros, or Chester Rock. They go from Cedros back to Chester Rock to go fish. So it's not like it's not undoable.
Yeah.
And all their supplies come across on the boats. So
how about you, Chris?
I have to say the same. There's no place like home.
Yeah.
Right out of San Diego, doing the overnight trips, the day and a half, the 2 days, all the way down to Baja. I've never been to Cedros. I'm actually going this year for the first time.
Cool. Awesome.
So it's, I think we were talking about this earlier. We've had 5 conversations yesterday about Cedros, about how excited we were. I was ready to go to the airport right then. It was awesome.
Trust me, we had
You're gonna
Jeff,
love it, man.
Jeff Mariani showed up from Cedros Kayak, which is now going to turn into Cedros Sport Fishing Charters, or Cedros Islands Sport Fishing Charters. But he was there, and you know, he's one of 4 operations there.
Yeah.
But the small, quaint one, right? He's a 6-pack guy, and we're just all excited. We're like, get the plane. We want to go right now.
All right, CCA. I think a lot of people have heard CCA, but some people are like,
It's
what
amazing.
is it?
It's amazing because
Right?
as far as we've been around since 2015.
Yeah.
We started at the Fred Hall show in 2015. You would think we'd have saturation by now, especially in Southern California, but we don't. So who are we? We're Coastal Conservation Association of California. It started like 43 years ago in Texas. We're in 19 states. We have local chapters, of which in California since 2015, we have 6 chapters now here from Santa Barbara, Channel Islands, LA, Orange County, San Diego, and the Inland Empire, which is Riverside, San Bernardino. But we represent the state here. So our goal is to expand into Central and Northern California now, which is what I'm working on.
You just made a hell of a drive, didn't you?
Yeah. We went up and did a show up in Bakersfield at the Copes. And then we went from there. I went from there up to Fresno, went all the way over to the coastline, started in Pismo, and worked all the way up to Eureka.
That Coast is a great place, by the way.
Beautiful.
What a
Great
great
guys.
tackle story.
Oh.
Nice guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Really
dropped by,
nice guys.
Steve and I, we dropped by there, and I mean, one of the kids recognized me. He thought he saw me on the post office wall, but I said, no, that's not me. But nice, really good. And I was amazed at the variety of tackle they had in there, from saltwater to freshwater,
Exactly.
everything. Yeah.
The thing about those guys is they don't fish in their backyard. They go everywhere else. And the funny part is we always talk about it. They go, hey, when do you want to hold an event? Well, you got to hold it during the week because on the weekend, everybody leaves town to go fishing.
Yeah.
So they're either heading freshwater to a lake or up to the mountains, or they're heading down to the beach. And those guys head down here. So it's not like they're afraid to drive. And so they got to cover so much tackle and different varieties, you know. So, but they're very well versed in it.
Yeah. So for people listening, before they like say, okay, well, what's that got to do with me? What does it have to do with the average guy listening? Why is this important? Why is CCA so important to people, to fishermen, outdoorsmen?
So what we do is we're your advocacy group. We're the ones fighting to not only conserve our resources, but the access for the angler to get to it.
And can I just stop you that conserve our resources? I think that's important because people who try to demonize fishermen leave that out all the time. And there's nobody in this game who's more concerned about that beautiful, pristine Eastern Pacific and elsewhere than all of us, right?
Correct.
It's beautiful
Yeah.
today too.
Yeah, it is, man. It's perfect.
We want to be out there fishing right
Yeah,
now.
will you hurry up, Wayne, so we can go fishing?
Yeah, so people don't understand is every day there's groups that are out to take away our fishing ability, whether that is taking away our fish, taking away the environment, taking away access, regulating us out of what we love to do. And what they've done is they've made certain words and terms bad. We used environmental and conservation and biodiversity. Those are good things. Those are things that we all should be important to everybody.
Yeah.
They're not bad things. And we started that movement. Hunting and angling started conservation because we understood that if we did not do these things, we wouldn't have a future.
Like Ducks Unlimited, right? All the great things they do.
Right.
Yeah.
So we know that. Fish and Game Commission, Department of Fish and Wildlife, used to be Fish and Game. All these things, all these agencies were started by the users to promote and have a future. We understood that we needed to have certain kind of fisheries management, hunting management, but that doesn't mean closures. That means management. You got to understand that there's a certain amount of take that is necessary to keep things in balance. When you just shut it down, that's when the imbalances start happening. And that's where we get in a rub with some of our environmental community where they just want to shut things down.
Yeah.
That's not the answer.
No.
Management's the answer.
Correct.
And we actually have a lot of proof that shows where leaving it alone to let Mother Nature just take her course isn't always in the best interest, whether that's in the MPA environment or in the animal environment, right? The terrestrial side. So, but the problem that you have is you've got people that are so emotionally bent on a topic matter that they are misusing the information or what we call science to formulate an argument or support for something that they've already got a preconceived outcome.
Yeah.
That's not what science is supposed to be used for.
No, it's not.
The science is supposed to be the
takes you
data.
where it takes you.
The data collected is supposed to be analyzed to tell you what's going on so that then you can do something about it if you need to, right? So it's this chain of events where they're now just trying to find data support their conclusion.
My Quinchon International 5th grade class can tell you all about the scientific method. Yeah, you're right. It takes you to where it takes you, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's evidence.
The same thing with statistics. Anybody can take statistics
Sure.
and apply them the way you want to support your argument.
Yes.
And we all can prove that, So this is where people or groups like ours exist, because nobody gets into fishing because they want to do more work or sit in a government meeting or sit in these meetings all day. We understand that. But if we're not represented, we are getting rolled, right? And we have to have representation. When we lost United Anglers of Southern California, when they went under fighting the MLPA, we were left, especially down here, without a voice.
Yeah.
Okay. When we go to meetings, there'll be 20 or 30 groups in that room, and where's the fishing or outdoor recreation being supported? Now, there's some smaller groups that are trying to make a go, but what we found was United Anglers, being a big group down here in Southern California, still didn't have enough horsepower. But by being under the national organization of CCA, now we have the horsepower of the 19 states, 140,000 members, 220 local chapters, and the depth, right? So we have federal lobbyists already through CCA. We have the organizations on the federal side and nationally, the big organizations backing us up. We have stability at that level. So now bringing in California, it took us a little while to get our feet under us, get enough size and enough fundraising done. Now we have a full-time lobbyist up in Sacramento.
Excellent.
Okay, so what have we done since 2015? Let's see, we fought 2 lead bans. We got bluefin from being listed endangered. We fought off the Chumash National Marine Sanctuary twice, which was going to close from the Monterey National Marine Sanctuary all the way down to Santa Barbara.
Oh, my God.
Think about that. That would have been 2 long National Marine Sanctuaries.
Yeah.
Okay. On top of that, now we're into all these other movements, but we helped, along with all of our people. Understand, nobody does this by themselves. No one person, no one group. We have to work together. So one thing that we've done is worked to build coalitions. We have fishing coalitions. We have an outdoor shooting sports coalition. We have all others. And we have the national perspective because of CCA and our relationships. And that's what we've been building. That is where we have strength and more power until CCA can grow big enough to encompass it, right?
Yeah.
And so right now we're mainly Southern California until we expand into Central and Northern California. But because we've built the coalitions, we've got some power behind us.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where our advocacy work is. A good example, we had another group that was running a 12-month fishing license. We don't have a 12-month fishing license. We have a calendar license.
Yeah, exactly.
So once you get past 6 months, you're paying double for the amount of time, right?
Exactly.
Okay, well, we've been fighting this, and it took a little effort, but the group that was sponsoring the last 4 years went under during this last year. CCA decided to take on this challenge because we believe that we now have the pieces in place. We've got the support from the Department of Fish and Wildlife. We sponsored the 12-month fishing license bill this year. It's AB 817. Mm-hmm. And we believe that we have a very, very good shot of finally getting it through.
When will that be resolved?
It'll be this year.
Okay.
So, cross your fingers. It'll be this year.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows what's going to happen in Sacramento with bills like what we went through last year. But we believe that we have enough support and the pieces are in place. Because what happened is it's part of a bigger movement. This thing called R3, we had to develop a program around. It's recruit, reactivate, and retain hunting and angling. Well, that's a bigger program that started nationally, which is now we developed one in the state with the hunting and the fishing community and the Department of Fish and Wildlife. They have bought into that program that has been developed by all the users and the department. Fish and Game Commission has approved it. Now this is part of the implementation process to help gain more anglers and hunters within our sports. So the 12-month fishing license, cleaning up some of the, or standardizing or making the regulations a little bit easier, providing better marketing tools, providing access to people that may not have understand what we do and why we enjoy our sport. All of these are pieces. The 12-month fishing license and the 12-month license in general is step one of 100 steps that we're going to go through.
Yeah.
But it's a necessary step to
Yes,
start.
yes.
And that's why we believe this is going to get through, because we understand and now have laid out the program. And it's one of those steps to improve access and the cost associated with it. Okay.
Yeah, and these closures, I mean, like you said, management works. It actually works. Closures, I think, are pretty regressive in that I believe they have an adverse effect on the lower income type of person that wants to walk down with his kids and fish along the beach, because some people have enough money to go down to Ensenada and fish out of the corral. Some people have enough money to jump on their boat. But, I see people out here all the time from a variety of different ethnicities who are down here to fish. And I go back to Teddy Roosevelt. I hope that's not going to get me canceled. Dude, Teddy Roosevelt, I'm sure he did something bad in his life. But when he was a young man, frail, sick, then he went to Wyoming or Montana, and he spent that time in the outdoors, and he felt like the outdoors changed his life. And that's what we're talking about here. These special moments that you have with your children. The kids that Friends of Rollo takes fishing on a regular basis. These are life-changing, great things that, if you have closures, are gone forever.
Yeah. I mean, we just had a story come up a couple months ago, and we hear these stories often where, a father and his 3 daughters, he takes his 3 daughters out fishing. Dale from Turn Bikes, he told a beautiful story about how he took his 3 daughters to the lake down fishing. And really, they didn't catch anything, and, really it was kind of boring day. But then driving home, all 3 of his daughters said that they really just enjoyed, and really more so enjoyed, just spending the day with their dad.
Yeah.
And that's all the stories that we really need to get out. And, that's what we love hearing. That's what it's all about, really.
I'm with you, Chris. I mean, there's, if I say to my kids, hey, let's sit around together for 6 hours and talk, they'll go like, are you drinking again? I'm like, I don't want to do that. But if I say, let's go on a half-day boat. Yeah, let's go, man. And then you get those 6 hours together, or, 2-day trip or whatever. It's so good for families and kids. And
yeah,
I believe that in any outdoor sport, though. I mean, how many of us, you don't need a lot of money to go and get a tent and a couple of sleeping bags and go up the mountains to a campsite.
Exactly.
Take a couple of trout rods, it's a $20 trout rod, and go trout fishing. Trout fishing's the first access most of us all had. Fresh water is, because it's inexpensive.
Yeah.
And then you can take that down to the pier, the jetty, and go fish. Pier being free without a license, makes it easy. It's the first access most of us had, and then you move on from there. And I got to tell you, the time spent growing up on the piers in Southern California, or the jetties.
Yeah.
I mean, and then taking that, and anytime I saw a body of water, I don't care where I was, I'm sitting there looking for a perch, looking for, whatever, a bluegill. It just infectious.
What pier did you grow up on, by the way?
Newport Pier.
Oh, okay.
Balboa.
Down there. Yeah, I was Redondo, like the old Mondstadt.
Newport Pier before it had rails. It was just the pier.
Wow.
And then you used to go pick up the sport boats underneath there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right? Yeah. Good times, huh? Great memories.
Great times. I mean, that was when we could do bonita balls, and you still had the barges off the coast back then. I mean, that was like the upscale. That was your first adventure to get out on the ocean, was getting the shuttle over to the barge to go fish.
Yeah, exactly. Did you do that slider rig when you fished the pier for bonita?
I did.
Yeah, so you cast a heavy sinker out, and then you put a swivel and a bait and slide it down. That was
People thought I was crazy,
wasn't it?
Because that was something that we didn't have the internet to show us that. We didn't have podcasts to show us that. That was something you just kind of watch the old guy do it, and you're like, how did that work?
Yeah.
But that's when all the piers also had those shacks on the end.
Yeah, right.
Buy the
With
anchovies.
the bait,
buy 20 pieces of anchovies and get a BLT.
Get your little ticket.
Yeah, I want the French fries because it's hot.
Yeah.
the best sandwich and French fries you'll ever have.
Yeah, and so these memories that you're talking about, how long ago was that for you? Probably a long time, right?
70s.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it's like 55 years ago. What the hell?
Yeah.
God, I'm still breathing. That's amazing in and of itself. Can't believe it.
I mean,
but
at
those are memories.
Well,
that
look
stay
at how
with
we
you.
used to serve fish back then. We used to use a Penn Senator or a Penn 500 on a broomstick. We didn't even use weights back then. We used to use spark plugs, right? And you just chain up a bunch of spark plugs and you throw that dropper loop out there with a bunch of squid or mussel that you grabbed off the rocks. And that was how we surf fish back
I know,
then.
yeah.
You know?
And now look at that sport. That sport is really popular.
I mean, look at what you're using. You're pretty much using a trout rod out there now.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right? You're using
Steelhead rod.
6-pound test. And yeah, we've changed. We've know that we don't need to throw it way out there anymore. We're just doing it right here in that little gully area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talking about some of the great things that you guys are involved in, one of those things is habitat restoration. Am I right?
We're trying. What happened was we started in 2015, and we had a artificial reef committee that we had started. And right when we started that up, the Department of Fish and Wildlife shut down any opportunity to go put a reef out. We had been working with the guys with some boats that we were ready to sink. We fixed up the boat. We were getting ready to sink, get the permit to do it, and then they stopped letting us do it.
What was the
Because right
objection?
now, well, there's a lot of things going on right now, and where we're at now, 6 years later versus where we were, we didn't understand it back then. What we found out was there's a bunch of artificial reefs that they had approved. They were all under permit status. They've never been actually, I guess, I don't know if you call it certified. So now the department wanted to do a bunch of survey work on the existing reefs, whether or not they're good, they're bad, they need to be cleaned up. And then there's this piece about, well, who owns that reef and do they have to pay a leasing on it? And there's maybe some back money. So there's a lot of that going on. Now, fast forward 6 years, look at what's going on offshore. Look at what they're trying to do between you got your oil industry with their rigs out there. You've got offshore wind going on. You have aquaculture trying to gain some space. Well, now the government can make money out on the ocean because they're leasing the property out there. Now, if you think about us trying to drop a rig out there or a reef out there to go fishing on, that could be a potential zone that they could make money on.
Then you're going to get their attention.
Yeah. So right now,
Politicians are pretty self-interested.
so you got to look at it from marine spatial planning is the new thing because you have GPS. They've already sold all the land, but there's all that water out there that they can probably still make some money on. So you got to look at it from a larger perspective. And now look at what's going on with this 30 by 30 movement where they want to save 30% of the water, land, and ocean, and set it aside for pretty much non-use. So how does that work into this whole thing?
How does that work? I mean,
Yeah,
what is so people have heard 30-30 also. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we can get into that. So in California last year, they had a bill called AB 3030. And this is actually round 2 of 3. Round 1 was the MLPAs, which was the legislation that created the MPAs, the Marine Protected Areas, which took 16% of the waters in state waters in California and set them aside. Much of it for non-fishing uses. But if you look at it from our perspective, they took 50% of the good inshore fishable waters away from us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are they closed forever? Is that
Well,
it?
they're not supposed to be.
Okay.
Not supposed to be.
And they're going to do what? Some research?
Right now, we're waiting for the 10-year review, which is up in 2022.
Okay.
Okay. So the decadal review. So that's coming up. We've been doing a bunch of studies. A lot of people have been working, doing tagging studies within the MPAs, inside and outside the MPAs, and they're doing a lot of their science work on that right now. What they tried last year was round 2, which is the international movement of 30 by 30, which is taking 30% of land, water, and ocean and setting it aside. The overall movement is actually 50 by 50. 50% of the world's land, ocean, and water set aside by 2050. So this is round 2. There's an international movement. Now that our new administration is in, he has done an executive order, and each state is now working on legislation or something to put behind this, right? So in our state, we had AB 3030 last year, which we banded everybody together. CCA, Cal took point. Our lobbyists and us worked together. We built these coalitions, And nobody thought we would do it, but we defeated that bill in the committee.
That is amazing.
It was huge,
right? Because it's David versus Goliath.
It was huge.
Yeah.
Nobody saw that coming because they wanted to use this as a stepping stone for the rest of the national movement.
Yeah.
And they wanted to take this to the international event that they were going to say, look, we got California. Now, we had a lot of arguments. We're not against biodiversity. We're not against clean water. We're not against the environment. We're not against any of those things. We believe in all of that.
Does the other side try to paint you?
They paint us as
demons.
Yeah.
Yes.
We pollute everything.
Exploiters.
We're going to kill every fish and every animal, every plant. Yeah, but that's not us.
Yeah.
But the part that we said is, okay, we understand why you want to do it, but we don't understand doing it here in California. California is probably one of the most overly regulated states in the world.
You think?
Okay. We have all of these groups of agencies, commissions, Department of Fish and Wildlife, Natural Resource Agency, Coastal Commission. You can go all the way down the line, down to your local harbor and local municipalities where we are watching, controlling all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So here it is. They're saying, all of that's not worth it. You're not going to do it. You're not doing it enough. We know better. We're going to take 30% of your land, ocean, and water to save biodiversity and the environment and provide access to underserved communities. Well, wait a minute. Why is responsible outdoor recreation? Why is responsible, sustainable use of our resources bad?
Right.
And what that was the piece and why we kind of fought our side of it. And they could never answer us. And we said, okay, well, how about defining what you mean by protection? What do you mean by conservation? What do you consider protected? What do you consider conserved? They would never answer that question. Are you only considering the current MPAs in our state as protected? Are you adding in the national marine sanctuaries? Are you adding in our national parks or our state parks or our county parks? Are you taking areas of inland waters where we have zero catch or we're barbless hook or no take areas? Are you considering those protected? Because we can't take anything in there.
Yeah.
And they would not answer the question. So how are we supposed to feel comfortable that this legislation isn't going to just shut us all out? And it wasn't just the fishing community. You know, while CCA is representing the outdoor recreational angler, right? The saltwater angler.
Yeah, yeah.
But this was freshwater. This was any outdoor sport. You don't think that they're going to go after the ATV, the bikers, and everybody else, anybody that uses it, all the hunting community. But this was more than that. We didn't know what they were going to do with the lakes, the fresh water.
Yeah.
Look at what's going on between the farmers and the water with them and the salmon and all the other things that are going on. Look at our reservoirs. They're dumping them right now. What are we going to do for water, for stability of our population?
Yeah.
You know, all of these things. What are we doing with electricity? So all of these things come into play, and that's why we said everybody needs to get involved in this. This isn't just about us. And so that huge coalition was about that.
Yeah.
So we were able to beat that legislation.
That's great.
We were so happy. We were on fire for 6 weeks. And then the governor signed an EO, a 30 by 30 executive order, which laid out in his plan, he's pretty much doing the same framework. The good part is that now all of the agencies are supposed to work to get to this 30 by 30 goal, but he recognized the outdoor community as being part of that and part of the process. So now at least we have a seat at the table.
Well, that's at least something, right?
So we're working with the agencies.
Is this another David versus Goliath kind of a situation?
Always,
now,
because it's still going to be. Think about how many different types of agencies and commissions and councils that we have, all the government side, the environmental community, and then you've got the outdoor recreation community, okay? So all of them and us. But at least if we have a seat at the table, we have a chance.
Yeah.
Let's hopefully that the responsible parties in the room will understand that we're not the enemy, that to look at what we just went through and what was the thing that came out of it. This was the largest amount of fishing and hunting licenses, forever in this last year.
Yeah.
Right? People could not wait to get outdoor, and that was the place you needed to be.
Yeah.
Was outside.
Yeah, I think this whole pandemic thing has driven that home. Being
So-
cooped up indoors for so long. I mean, and you see childhood suicides going up. You see all these things going on. I mean, I had my heart broken just the other night. I don't know if you saw that post I put up, but Jacob Stevens, who was a captain in San Diego, called me up, and his 14-year-old daughter hanged herself. Now, I wouldn't make this public unless he wanted me to. He asked me to do this because his hope is that they can stop this kind of stuff. But oh my God, you talk about
And it's not the
Brutal.
only one we heard about this
Terrible.
whole time.
yeah.
It's scary. It is scary right now.
That
Yeah,
one hit
and
home,
we're
too.
not. I mean, I'm not trying to. I mean, I believe in my heart that being in the outdoors is such a healthy thing for kids. I'm not saying that would have prevented what went on there or any other case, but oh my God, I mean, being cooped up, it's a terrible thing, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about it earlier, where we all have our first memories: fishing, hunting,
Yeah.
being outdoors, and all that. The outdoors really provides that opportunity to go make a ton of memories, especially at that young of an age.
Yeah.
Too. It's a golden opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's ultimately why groups like us exist.
This whole 30-30 thing, I'm not picking on my friends over at Fish and Wildlife, but doesn't that kind of presuppose that what they're doing is not working? Or do you know what I'm saying?
Okay,
Isn't what they're doing?
This is just me, okay? You can just have my opinion, and I can say, if you really look at this whole movement, what they're saying, the environmental community is saying, for all of the agencies, all of the money with NOAA, all of the policies, procedures, and things that we're doing,
none of that's any good.
is worthless. They're telling them,
Right.
I know better than you. You have failed. At this point, I'm like, defund it all. If this is the case, if they're just going to take 30% of our land, water, and ocean and shut it down, then why are we going through all this work?
Yeah, right.
I want to go fishing personally while I still have a chance. So if we're just going to hit that end goal and you're just going to take it away from us, then I'm going to go use my boat and my tackle while I can. Okay? But what they're saying is, hey, NOAA, hey, National Marine Fisheries Service, Natural Resource Agency, Coastal Commission, Fish and Game, Fish and Wildlife. Hey, guess what? You have failed in your policies to protect biodiversity, the environment, and everything else. Worthless.
Yeah.
We know better. We're just going to shut it down.
Yeah. I mean,
Really?
Right? Then that's what it
Okay,
seems
so
like.
let's put it back to something that guys on probably watching this podcast can relate to.
Yeah.
We have the MPAs. The original MPAs were right there in the Channel Islands. You know why they were created? To protect the abalone. That was going to be the last savior. But Mother Nature is Mother Nature. Mother Nature just did that whole warm blob event, and what happened up in those MPAs? The warm water went through, the kelp died, starfish died, abalone died off, and the purple urchin are going crazy. So we got these purple urchin bearers. So now, because they're MPAs, because everybody has to play by the same rules, they're not allowed to go in there and manage it. They're not allowed to go in there and touch it. But what are they doing? They want to go in there and they want to go cull the purple urchin out. They want to be able to go back in there and then plant the kelp and go plant the sea urchin or starfish back out, abalone out there. They can't. They have to play by the same rules. And so now there's actually legislation in Sacramento right now to try to be able to do restoration within those areas because they have to open up the guideline. Well, okay, I don't have a problem with that. That's right. But then admit that it's management that you want, not leave it alone.
Correct.
So where do you draw the line on this 30 by 30 at this point? Are you not learning that you have to manage species, that you have to manage the environment, that you need to keep certain predators and stuff? Now, I'm not saying that 100%, they're not 100% wrong on the MPAs. There's areas that I believe personally that they could help us because we as sport enthusiasts are such a large population. So when you have too much pressure in one area, you're going to hurt that area. But how do you regulate a state worth of areas, right? So, why are we trying to open up depths? Why are we trying to do what we're doing? Remember, we shut down the rock fishing for 20 years, but we're being rewarded because it's come back. It's management. We understood it. We took the hit.
Yeah.
We are also being rewarded by it. That's the process. It doesn't mean that we've killed biodiversity. It doesn't mean we killed off all those species. No, we understood that we had a problem with
Yeah, right.
That's what the management does.
And look what it did. Because
That's what the management's for.
What was the estimate on cow cod that it would take 6 millennium for them?
It was going to be 70 more years.
Yeah,
70 more
And
years.
what
We're
was
ahead
it?
of schedule. So it's already been deemed rebuilt. We only
Yeah.
have one species left of rockfish that still isn't at the rebuilt status. The problem that you have
Which one is that, by the way?
the yellow eye.
Yeah.
So right now we're up at the cow cod has been deemed rebuilt. The problem you have is it takes so long for them to grow that how do you open it back up without putting us back in that position? And that's where all of us need to put our heads together. So if we open it up and we say, oh, you only have so much take, you got to hit these limits and you got to build the models and all that, right? It's a hard question to answer. How do you open it up and be responsible so you don't put yourself right back in that position? But understand that that's fisheries management.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We
Right.
understand it.
Right.
So why are you demonizing and saying, you don't know what you're doing, you're killing all the species, we need to shut it down? I'm not there. I'm just not there.
And when you throw that cycles thing in there, that's what worries me. Like 2022 comes up and we're in a down cycle and they go out there and look and then, oh, look, nothing's rebounded. That scares me because if you want to do this scientifically, you have to recognize that there are cycles.
Well, look at what an El Nino and La Nina cycle do.
Yeah.
Look at our bait. I mean, every year we go to the council and we're being demonized to say that the anchovy or the sardine are at a population so low that they're gone, right?
Yeah.
They're going to go
Right.
into extinction. And what do we find out? That the federal study, the stock assessment is only done in federal waters. Well, state waters go 0 to 3 miles. Where's all the bait?
Right.
It's up on the shoreline. You couldn't leave the harbor here and not go through bait balls.
Yeah.
But that wasn't being counted correctly. So we had to show that, right? There's things that I don't know why, but they don't trust the fishermen. The fishermen spend all the time on the water. Why wouldn't we tell them what and listen? Why won't they listen to what we're showing them, right? Now,
And fishermen, I mean, let's say you're crazy about catching fish like we all are. You still are not going to push it to the brink of extinction because this is so important to us. So our children are important. Our grandchildren are important. Why would we do that? What would be the possible motive to do that?
well, why did we install all of the regulations? For that reason, right? Why do we have bag limits? Why do we have size limits? Because we understand, as the science told us what was going on, right? It wasn't popular about this taking the bass to 14 inches. But what did it do to the population of the bass because they had an extra cycle for spawning? You got to follow that science. Now, we're not going to be perfect in everything. None of us are. But you do the best you can.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to be cautious. And that's where the stock assessments and the modeling showed that certain things were going to go a certain way in a cycle. Okay, we're going to have to close things down. I mean, look at the lingcod going from 2 to 1 and back and forth, right? Yeah. Look at the size of a halibut going back, whatever those things are. That's the science telling us what we need to do.
Yes.
We understand that. We're not against any of that.
Right,
But that's why fisheries management is so important. Wildlife management, right? You can't let things run amok. Right now, yes, we had an issue with sea lions. We all knew it. Okay, we took the hit, but it's not there anymore. That protection needs to be pulled back, and now we need the management side of that.
For sea lions.
For sea lions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a mess, isn't it?
Right. They're not endangered anymore.
Right.
But
Endangered.
what they're causing
Taking over.
But they're
That's
causing
Dave
other
Henson.
things, right? Because they're now so overly populated. What is that doing to other fish species?
Correct.
What is that doing to the rest of the environment? The balance has to stay there, and that's the part that people don't understand.
They don't.
How do you manage the balance? It's such a hard thing.
And it's so easy for the other side to get a nice little fluffy sea lion that is so cute and you just love to hug and put that out there without like showing the detrimental side of overpopulation to that species. Also, starvation, they're more sickly. I mean, it's just that.
But that's also Mother Nature doing her thing too,
Yeah.
right? I mean, not everybody survives in nature. There's some culling naturally that happens. The stronger survive, all that kind of stuff. That's Mother Nature. Who are we to say that we know better,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Sometimes you're not supposed to survive.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised I made it this long, Chris. For sure.
Hey, I'm on the other side of that curve too. So
Yeah. All right. You guys are involved in hatchery stuff also for white sea bass and halibut, correct? Who wants to take that?
well, we're tied in since from the beginning. We tied with Hub SeaWorld Research Institute
Yeah.
and the White Sea Bass Program.
I've watched that white sea bass from my youth. When I remember we caught one on the Redondo Special once, and I was 12 maybe. And this freaking thing came up from the depths, and Barney Barnes was running the boat, and he gaffed this thing, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And there was so few white sea bass in those days, and now it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
They call them ghosts for a reason.
Yeah, right, right. But there was just the population of sea bass back in the 70s was really reduced. And today, man, catching sea bass is not that uncommon.
Number one on that, though, was the banning of the gill net on that.
Yeah, for sure.
The gill net was the big thing on that one. But then the hatchery program itself, it is still an experimental program, right?
Yeah.
It's a research program. People don't understand that. It's the only saltwater hatchery program that we have on the West Coast.
Yeah.
But bigger than that is it was the science between showing how this worked. Now, since we've done this program with Hub SeaWorld Research Institute, there are hatcheries around the country now that are doing a lot bigger programs than ours even, right? The thing that we did is we are helping with the grow out facilities. They're still independently operated from Channel Islands South. And we have the Mission Bay facility and the Carlsbad facility Hubs has. And then we help them, and they put the fish out in the grow out pens, and then we release them.
Yeah.
Okay. It's still a science program. How do you rear them? How do you feed them? What size should you grow them to? How do you measure them after release? How do you measure what the stock is out there and your effect of the stock? And there was a science advisory review on the program a couple years ago now, and the science review was great on all these other pieces except you had less than 1% effect on the total population. And I'm sorry, I gotta have, while it was peer reviewed by some really smart scientists, they took old data and they took it that did not include fish north of Palos Verdes. Mm-hmm. It did not include fish from Catalina. And they extrapolated out the effect from catch data. I'm sorry. If you look at our catch rate right now of white sea bass and the size of those white sea bass, you cannot say that our hatchery fish did not have an effect on the total population and everything going on out there. You just can't. We have fish now all the way up to San Francisco Bay being caught.
Yeah.
We have fish down in Baja being caught. You have fish over all the way out to Tanner and Cortez being caught. Catalina's still thick. How do you not account for those fish? How do you know that our fish didn't spawn, and these are now future generations of the fish that we had in the hatchery, right?
Yeah.
Because the only way that we can watch the fish are through these little embedded tags that are in their head. You're not going to be able to scan all those fish, right? And then they started looking at it and they're saying, oh, the catch rate's down, this and that. You're taking it out of context. People aren't fishing for them like they used to because we've got tuna off the coast, or we had yellowtail thick for 5 years, year round. So, you can't take data out of context. What we're doing right now is CCA went and we updated the legislation that created the OREP program. We updated the advisory panel and now are creating a science advisory committee. We are also helping them with their funding. So we're directly tied with them, trying to keep this program running. Private funds have been collected, and we started a halibut program.
Oh, great.
California halibut. Yeah. All through private. It is not part of the OREP program yet, but we're looking at it from two sides. One is, and it just was good timing, that the California halibut is now up there on the list for the next fisheries management plan for the Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Oh, uh-huh.
It is at that level of risk that they believe that they need a fisheries management plan to be developed.
Yeah.
So that's good timing on our program to try to get this thing running, because it takes time to build a broodstock program, understanding what it takes to spawn them in captivity, and then how to grow them out, and then what to do with release. We've been doing it now for 3-4 years. We've had multiple releases. Just this last November, we released 1,000 fish into Mission Bay, and it's a cool program. So there's a bunch of little Waynes and little Chris's out there swimming around, because we were part of that program to catch the original broodstock.
That's great.
It's a good program. It's fun. Right now we're at the program with the white sea bass. We've been fixing up pens. Catalina got redone. We're going to go catch some more broodstock because we need to replenish the broodstock program in Mission Bay for the white sea bass. But right now we're at the point of the legislation passed last year. We have a new advisory panel that needs to be selected by the director of the Department of Fish and Wildlife. And then we got to get that going because we're on a time clock to get this program moving along.
Right.
To prove certain things out because, again, it's a science program. Where is their effect? How do you track them? Where are they going? What's the survival rate? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Are we just feeding sea lions on a release? You know?
Right.
That needs to be proven out.
When it comes to that halibut program, though, it's pretty neat. And if you go on our Facebook page, we have plenty of videos and all that because what we did.
And the Facebook page is?
Coastal Conservation Association of California.
Okay.
What we did back in, I think, 2018, that was the first one that I was involved with. We actually used private boats to collect them. So we actually had a mothership and then kind of sent out all these other private boats from our volunteers. Big shout out to them for helping us get this thing going. And we collected fish. And that method turned out to be a little bit more effective, where I think our second collection, we got probably 19 legals in a matter of like 6 hours or something.
Jeez.
All in San Diego Bay.
Wow.
And that's what Hub SeaWorld Research Institute was looking for. We picked them up, got them, and then the following year, we invited all those volunteer boats back to release them out in Mission Bay, which was really cool. It kind of came full circle.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. People that are listening to this podcast right now, should they be worried about the future of sport fishing?
Yes.
Should they really be worried?
Yes. We're always under attack. So why we exist? We know that everybody wants to go fishing. I'm with you. I'd rather be fishing than doing this work. But if we don't do this work,
This is
if we don't do this work, we don't have a future, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to say you'd rather be fishing than be on this podcast. Don't ever.
It is a
say
beautiful
that way.
day out there. Don't tempt me.
Hey, we all would.
There's a rod and reel right there, and I'm not afraid.
And there's a kid right out there too, Alex. He's ready to go.
Yeah. No. Why we exist? Because we're always under attack, and I hate to say it that way, but it's true. They're trying to go after our environment. They're trying to go after our fishing zones.
Who are they?
Well, it's the environment. It's
right.
the environmental community.
Yeah.
Right. They're trying to create every species is going to be. They apply them for endangered species. Classifications.
And what is it? I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, is it a grift in a way? I mean, is it you take a species, you scare everybody about it, you get donations flying in, you get to pay everybody. And you just, I mean, it sounds like a grift. I mean,
yes,
we're all in favor of taking care of the environment, but it is susceptible to being a grift, right?
Yeah.
It can be.
Okay, here's a good example. Right down there on the border, we have an MPA right there at the southern tip of California, right on the border to Tijuana.
Yeah.
Tijuana Sewage has been one of the biggest problems that we've had, man-made. We have an MPA that they fought so hard for. We got man-made trash and pollution going out there, and it is creating an environmental nightmare down there. Why is it that all of those environmental companies or groups are not 100% out there with their signs and their pickets and their boycotting on this issue?
Yeah.
Why are they not trying to save that precious MPA that they work so hard to take from us?
Yeah.
Okay. I always said the same thing. I don't understand where the act of fishing was so detrimental to the environment that we're the one group being discriminated from use in the areas.
Yeah.
If we're so damaging to the environment because of our fishing practices, recreational fishing practices, prove it to me, because I don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
If it is because you want to save the fish species, the biodiversity, that's what fisheries management plans are for. That's why we have the Fish and Wildlife and the Fish and Game Commission. But what are they doing so wrong that you're saying that we're so guilty that we need to be shut out?
Part of this problem, as I see it is so easy for the other side, the environmentalists, to make an emotional argument as opposed to an evidentiary argument. It's really easy to get grandma at home or somebody to say, oh, they're going to set aside this and protect all the beautiful creatures in the sea. I'm all for that.
What's the one thing on the inshore that they complain about the most being the biggest pollutant to the ocean? Ocean acidification.
Mm-hmm.
What does the fishing community have to do with the ocean acidification issue?
Right.
So you've been telling us now for 30 years that ocean acidification is the number one problem to the environment.
You want to explain that, by the way?
Ocean acidification is the acid level going up in the water, right? They're out there doing their sampling of the water,
right,
and they're saying this is what they're finding. Okay, but it's not the fishermen that's the issue to that problem.
Right.
Okay, so if that is your number one issue, and you can show back that it's the runoff from coming down to the ocean, that's the issue, then why haven't you fixed this piece? Why haven't you concentrated on all of the runoff coming from us on land, right? Whether that's from I don't care if it's coming from your yard with your pesticides or your brake dust or all those things. Why are you not focusing on those things and get off our backs? We're not the enemy.
Right.
We're trying to help fix it.
Yeah.
But yet you're focusing all your efforts on us and not that. I don't understand that. And that's where, like you said, are they just there to make the money and fight their fight? I don't know. I don't know where this passion comes from or the emotional argument. And part of our problem, and let's just put it on the table, it's an emotional argument that we're always trying to fight. The environment, the sea lion, the pelican, the bird, whatever it is, right? It's emotional.
Yeah,
it's not logical.
Right.
It's emotional. So we're trying to use science. We try to use logic to argue with somebody. You can't sway somebody like that.
No, not
you're
when they're
beating
on the
your head against the
emotional.
wall, and you're never going to win.
Correct.
So how many years you've been fighting this?
Yeah.
How many years have all of our guys been doing it?
Yeah.
Guess what? We've never won those arguments.
Yeah, and that's the same in any topic. If you're coming from an emotional point of view, you're never going to change that.
You can change you can change it if you can convince them why their emotion is wrong.
Yeah.
But it's a much different it's a different way to talk to somebody.
Yes, it is.
Okay?
It is.
And that's where our problem is. We get so mad and we get all tied up and bent up, going, why aren't you listening to me? Why don't you understand? The facts are right here. Why aren't you listening? No, it's emotional.
Yeah.
Look at everything that's going on right now. It's emotional arguments. You can't fight it with logic. You just can't.
Yeah. And
so stop trying.
And you
just quit wasting your effort. Calm down. Let's take a different approach.
Well, so what are you saying? Are you saying we need to come in with an emotional appeal? And mixed with evidence?
But our emotional appeal won't change theirs. So now you're going to have two people crying at each other for what? It doesn't solve the problem. What we got to do is find the common ground, okay? We all agree the environment is the issue. We all want to save it. Let's just start in common ground. We believe that there's plastics issues. We believe in the pollution. We understand that we want to save the biodiversity. Let's find the common ground and start there instead of just standing on two sides fighting and throwing things. Nobody wins in a pissing match.
No.
So stop doing it.
But I mean, that's where politics is now.
I don't want to play that game.
Separating people into groups.
Don't want to play that game.
Getting them to hate each other.
Don't play that game. Stop.
Surfers.
Stop the game.
Versus the fishermen, right?
Yeah, that's not though. That's the problem.
I know.
It's not surfers against fishermen.
Right.
Or it shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't.
We all want to use the same environment.
Yeah.
We're all outdoors people trying to have fun.
Yes.
So stop fighting with each other.
When I'm down there surf fishing and a surfer kind of gets where I'm fishing, you know what I say? I'll walk down here.
Move.
I'm here for...
Move.
Yeah, I walk, maybe because I'm not a surfer, so I don't understand this is where this guy's got to be because...
Well, he's going on a certain break in a certain line.
Right.
So I get it. I used to surf.
I'm good with that because I'm actually down there for some of the reasons that we already talked about. I'm down there to see a sunset, to enjoy all those things the ancillary things about, and catching a fish is important, but I'm not going to get into some beef with a guy. That's not what I'm down there for. And most of the surfers, the same thing. They're very respectful about it. Or, a lot of those guys walk up, hey, did you catch anything?
That's right.
Today? Blah, blah, blah. But when you're on that other side and you want to pit people against each other, then we're not going to accomplish a damn thing.
We haven't.
Right?
We haven't in how many years?
Yeah.
Haven't we learned anything from all this?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that way. So start with the common ground, and then we can start having conversations about why we have differences, right? Okay, look at where we're at today and all of those things that we've been able to accomplish in the last 5 or 6 years versus the last 30 years. That's the difference in the mindset, and why we need to build these coalitions, why we need to look at the different points of view. How do we find solutions to problems, not just argue?
Right.
People want to just say, no, I'm not listening to you or whatever. No, okay, if you find a problem, everybody needs to find a solution, okay? If you don't have a solution, then you can't solve the problem. So think from a different standpoint. Bring it around to, how do I make an improvement? How do I fix something? And that's I think, how we're going to be successful.
Absolutely. Chris?
Well, the key word, going back to the surfing and the fishing communities, we're all watermen. We all use the same resource. We're all going out for enjoyment.
There's that common ground, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's where we start.
Yeah.
Basically.
I totally agree. Couldn't agree more with that. And if we can get to that point, then we can make some real change. Alex, the kid that you see running around here, talking about how important the outdoors is. I took a photo, a selfie. Alex and I went out on Tom Durr's boat maybe a month ago. And Tom goes, let's go down. We'll try to make some squid and we'll catch some sand bass. And I took I was up in the bow and I took a selfie, and Alex is behind me. Honestly, I could see him beaming. Like, he was so, and then just talking to him, he's like looking at all these dolphin, and all this life. And he's like, this is freaking awesome. I have never seen anything like that.
Okay, so there's a good point right there. But there's a good point right there.
Yeah.
We sometimes take it for granted because we were on the water all the time. Or
Right.
we try to be, right?
Yeah.
Less than 1% of the population will ever experience what we experience.
Right.
The stuff that we see out there,
Exactly.
the life we see, the environment, the pleasure we have by being on our boat, going out there and just sitting there going, oh man, I miss this.
Yeah.
Just to be on the water, just tooling along, seeing that pot of dolphins, seeing those whales out there, the pelicans in flight is just majestic.
It is.
Okay? I never take that for granted. Those sunsets that we see out in the water with a green flash, the guys on land will never see, right? Things like that. That perfect sunset, that perfect curl in a wave, when you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, did you just see that perfect curl just go by? Or you see those birds, the way that they fly and how low they are to the water. Even when you see a sea lion come up and they're enjoying themselves, or the otters up in Central Coast.
Yeah.
They're just fun to watch. We take it for granted sometimes. Not anymore. Not anymore. I tell you what, I enjoy it every time. We're running along in a boat and you see that pot of dolphin, they want to come play with you.
Yeah.
They come up under your bow and they're swimming along with you. There's nothing more fun than watch. I
nothing
turn
more
into a little
beautiful
kid and watch that, right?
Yeah.
And now we're seeing all the little pod, right? The little ones coming around right now. And they're learning the porpoise, right? And you're sitting there, they fall backward. It's just fun to watch. I'm a little kid with that.
Yeah, me too.
And so I want everybody else to experience that. I want to see how we can get more people out there. 75% of the world is ocean, covered in water. And you guys are staying on land? Are you crazy? There's a whole world out there that is so beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
If you've ever been on a kids trip, it's absolutely mind-blowing just to kind of step back and watch, because, I mean, for example, the Friends of Raleigh program, they take out a ton of kids every year, and I've worked a couple of them before, and some of these kids, they've never even seen the ocean. And just to see their reactions, see their faces. Sometimes I'll go run boats on the weekends and I'll get, 2 parents and a couple of kids or whatever. And the kids, they're from out of town or whatever. They've never been on the ocean, seen the ocean. They're getting fired up just to go get bait. Just bait on the bait dock and all that. And then when you add the dolphins, when you add the whales and all that, my fishing trips turn into whale watching trips.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just because of what we kind of take for granted there every day.
There was a cop that came in when I was in 97610, when I had that, and we did our youth fishing program. We took like 100,000 kids fishing over the years, thanks to Don Ashley and many others that contributed to that. But man, there was a cop who came to me who really started. His name was John Roberts, and he said, I got a couple kids and they're headed in the wrong direction, and I think a fishing trip would do them some good. And I'm like, yeah, right. These kids are probably ready to, cut my throat or something. So I took these kids fishing. Don Ashley comped the trip. Saw an immediate change. Saw their eyes get bigger. And I saw that. So we kept going with this program. It makes, like you say, makes a big difference in the lives of
Fishing in
children.
the City program with the Department of Fish and Wildlife,
Right.
the Fishing Passport program, Why are those important? But people don't understand that while we have those programs through our Department of Fish and Wildlife, the fishing clubs, Friends of Rollo, have been doing it forever, privately funded, right? The amount of kids that get out and get the experience because of those programs is priceless. That Department of Fish and Wildlife, when they did that fishing passport program, I got involved with it not too long ago. Changing that and bringing in the kids, yes, but the families, mothers that, coming in with their kids because they don't know what to do. They don't have access. They don't know where the resources are at. Getting them out there and showing them it's not a scary thing. This is teaching them our sport. Responsible recreation, how to use the tackle. Don't be afraid of the hook. This is the live bait. This is how you cast.
Don't throw the fishing line in the water, blah, 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 all that stuff. You just said responsible.
Responsible.
Yeah.
Why we do barotrauma devices for releases, all of that, the regulations, why they're there, teaching them the fish species, and then taking them out and showing it. That program was so good because we actually saw the changes. We saw them engage in our sports. Some of them, a month later, this one couple came back and they said, I bought a boat and I got all this tackle, and the spark, there's the next generation coming up, right? That right there, all those kids programs that we've done. I mean, look at all the organizations that do those kids programs, right? I mean, there's so many of them now. The thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, kids that have gone out. You don't know how far-reaching that has, gone.
Exactly. And you know what's a cool thing? I wonder if you've experienced this. When I travel around the world, I gravitate toward the fishermen, right? And I feel like, if I'm in Vietnam, don't speak the language. My Chinese sucks, by the way. But whenever I get around a fisherman, I feel this brotherhood.
Oh, absolutely.
And you try to make eye contact and just wave like, well, I don't know. You just feel like a connection, don't you?
You have that common bond. First, you have the common bond.
Yeah.
Then you have the common language. What are you doing? What are you catching? What are you using? Right? I go to every place I go. I try to visit a tackle store just to go see the tackle. I mean, that's that whole. I'm into the industry. I love seeing the different techniques and learning all this stuff. I got to tell you, the fishing going around the world, that is the one common bond. I go there and I can. They want to learn just like you want to learn. But my thing is what you started to kind of go down that road.
Yeah.
I like watching where the kids are at.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go down and buy a rod and a reel. I'll go over there and I'll go, okay, and then I'll be catching fish and they're like, what are you doing? How come you're so successful? I'm not, right? You pull up and everybody's got their line in the water and you're all of a sudden the only guy catching.
Yeah.
That's some fun stuff right there.
Yeah, and especially when things are all the experiences of kids
so then you start
digital.
But then you start teaching them.
Yes.
And when they start catching or they start having more fun and you can teach them, now you just gave them the tools.
You did.
There's a lot of times I'm going around the country or whatever. I don't have my tackle with me. I'll go and buy it. I leave it behind. I'll give it to the kids right there, Here's what I'm doing. This is how you do it. Teach them. Start catching fish. I don't need to fish anymore. I'm having more fun just teaching them.
Yeah.
And imparting our fun.
The brotherhood is real though. Like it
is.
I mean, even if you go to the grocery store and you see a pelagic shirt or even a salty crew shirt and all that, you kind of give, you guys kind of give each other the look.
You do.
The look or the nod.
Yeah, sup.
I mean, I've met boat owners and I've recognized them just by the boots that they wear.
Yeah.
Inside, they're just making a grocery trip.
Right. I totally get what you're saying. You're so right about that.
It's a common language.
I got guys at the grocery store that don't recognize me because of the shirts I'm wearing. And now every time I walk through that line, that's what he's talking to me about because he's a fisherman, but he works in the store, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So same thing. Yeah. It's amazing the connections you make. It's a small industry too.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that you and I know because we do all the shows and we've been doing it for so many years.
Yes.
But look at where they all ended up, right? They're all over the place now.
Exactly.
It's amazing how small the community is, but wide the community is.
We're starting. I can't believe this time is flying by. We only have a few minutes left. So what I did last night was I asked for questions. My son was supposed to be here today to do a live Facebook. Idiot. Anyway, I did get a question, and you're going to laugh because it is from Scott Buchert. Okay? Steve's like that. So I'm going to, and then we have a few minutes left. If I haven't taken this where it needs to go, we need to talk about how people can join CCA and all that, obviously. But here's this question. Let me read this. Besides joining CCA, what can the average fisherman do to keep access open to our fishing grounds? and at the same time keep our environment clean and our ocean healthy? Nice question, Scott. I must admit.
Very good question.
Yeah.
Very thoughtful.
Okay.
And Opsin Fluorocarbon is going to give the best question, which I think this is going to be the only one. $75 worth of Opsin line. Thank you so much, Greg. What's the answer? What
So,
can they do? Join CCA?
Join CCA because we're the ones trying to fight the fight on your behalf. So you can go to our website, ccacalifornia.org. It starts at $35 a year. We need funding. Obviously, we're a 501c3, so we have to earn every dime that we spend. So come to our banquets, come to our events, go fish with us. Like yesterday, we were down for the Coastal Social. Get involved with that. That's coastalsocial.org. It's got its own website.
That's coming up April 24th right here at 22nd Street
Right here.
Landing, where we're going to be doing a live podcast. You're going to drop in and say hello, I hope. Are you
Absolutely.
going to be around for that?
I'll be around.
Yeah, you guys?
We will
Okay,
be
good.
around.
We'll have you on the show.
So we'll get into the events to wrap it up. But so like us on Facebook, obviously, because social media is the key. Follow us on Instagram because all of our events are up there. We do live Facebook Lives right now every Thursday at 5 o'clock. Sometimes the dates change. Every so often, like last week, we move it over to Instagram. Chris is DMC on all of those, handling it. But for social media is the key. The reason why you want to become a member for that $35 is because then you stay connected to us, because we can get our monthly newsletter out to you when we have action items where legislation's happening or you need to stay involved in what's going on. I know it can be dry at times, but it's the only way that we can impart the information other than doing podcasts like this or getting out on our Facebook Live or our social media.
And if you wait too long on this whole thing, it's going to be too late. You got to get involved now.
We got to get
Now.
people involved now. So those are the most important things. When we put out an action alert to the community saying we need you to write to your senator, we make it as easy as possible. There's a form letter there. All you need to put is your name, your email address, your zip code so it knows what senator or assembly person it is. The letter's already there and you can just hit send. I mean, but those numbers matter. That 30 by 30 fight that we had last year,
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of responses got into those legislators. We hit every legislator in California through that movement. That is unheard of.
Yeah. And that's all they
We
understand.
tracked that. And it wasn't just our campaign. It was all the other coalition partners that did it too. So we just pummeled them.
That's
and
awesome.
it got a lot of recognition. That is so important. That's why we need to grow.
Yes.
Okay? Numbers matter. Numbers are voters. We're the voters.
Yes.
We elected you. We
Yes.
don't like you. We can do something about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Look what's going on. So this is where it's important. Now, when we do events or whatever, come and support us. We want to have fun just like you. Come out, spend a little money, enjoy it, and then we can talk to you about stuff, right? That's how we're going to win.
Yeah,
That's
you guys-
the way.
You guys are doing great work. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this year and last year actually, just with everything going on and all that, we kind of not refocused, but we kind of shifted towards charters. And so we have plenty of new member charters. We've got 6 local chapters that are all putting on charters, events, fundraisers.
Cool.
We actually have one on the Amigo, May 2nd.
Love fishing the Amigo.
Oh yeah, beautiful boat. They've
Yeah.
done a really nice job too.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're coming up on the first one up in Channel Island, Santa Barbara, April 11th. Then the Amigo. Then we've got one on the Fury at Dana Wharf. So all really good stuff.
You can find all this info on your social media, right? Instagram,
social media,
Facebook.
website's always the best resource. So
And that website is?
ccacalifornia.org.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Go ahead. Yeah. I mean, so
No.
that's an opportunity to go out and
Yeah,
fish, enjoy the environment, and help the cause.
That
at the
and
same
also
time.
and all these events, we're always, membership is so important. The strength is really in our numbers. And, like Wayne said, just the impact that we had just on AB 3030 alone, sending out all those emails, we were touching 100,000 people. Imagine if we got that 100,000 number in our membership, how much stronger we would be.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, all these events are, really, really great opportunity to not only, join CCA. A lot of these events are, membership drives as well, but also they're kind of local engagement. I know I've been on plenty of charters with all of our local chapters. There's not a bad one out there.
Yeah.
All of them are really, really great guys. All of our local chapters really run these charters and these events. And more or less, almost every event, we'll pick up another board member, and
That's
people,
great.
and people could definitely learn and join their local chapter boards too. That's really the most effective way to really kind of make a difference.
Awesome. You guys are doing such great work.
The
Really,
growth
really
is all
great work.
volunteers.
Yeah.
We're the only 2 paid employees for the whole state,
Yeah.
and it's a big state.
Yeah, it's a lot of
It's
work.
a big state.
huh?
Yeah,
I don't know how you do it, to be honest with you.
it's a lot of work, but we have to grow. Size matters. People need to engage. The local chapters are important to build upon, right? The membership's important to build upon. As you get bigger, then the fundraising gets a little bit easier because then you have more people participating.
Yeah.
Right now, hats off to our state board. We're almost 40 strong at the state board level now.
39.
The powerhouses in the whole industry.
Great.
The who's who. And I got to tell you, hats off to them because we wouldn't be here without them. They have put this on their backs to make this happen. And thank you to CCA National for their leadership and their guidance on keeping us straight on what we're doing. And that's going to be the future, so that no matter what happens within the management of your local chapter, your state or local chapter, the whole policy, procedures, and the structure stays the same. You have consistency through your management changes. That, I think, is where we're going to win, where the other organizations, what happened every time your management changed, your direction changed, right? And that's why they didn't stay, they didn't have the longevity
Yes.
in my mind. So that's why I'm behind this. That's why I'm putting my time into this, because I believe once we build it, it'll have that long-term, long-lasting effect. And it's the right thing to do. We need to save our fisheries. We need to save our environment. We need to save our access.
For a whole lot of good reasons. Chris,
Yeah.
to wrap things up, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, with local chapters, can't thank those guys enough. They're all volunteers. We're actually opening up another chapter here pretty soon in Bakersfield.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, with the guys at Copes that we just talked about.
Those- yeah. Great.
Yeah, fantastic. But, really, we kind of rolled out another program this year in particular called Contribute to Conservation. It's simple. All you have to do is enroll. It's $10 a month, and it just goes straight to donate to CCA. And, if you, in the words of Mike Lum, if you can't afford to $10 a month to go to conservation, can't afford to be in this business.
I think Mike said that on his podcast, as a matter of fact, when he was here. So, that's great. Absolutely. If we can all pull together here, the future's bright, but we have to pull together. It's urgent, right?
But remember, we all want to have fun.
Yeah.
Bring up the Coastal Social event, because that's the new one that you and
Yeah.
Matt put together.
That.
Yeah, I know you had Matt Florentino on a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But, him and I, hats off to Matt. He's a really
Great guy.
big trooper. Yeah. Yeah, we're doing Coastal Social. First event's going to be here.
Yes.
22nd Street Landing, April 24th.
Right.
All you have to do is go to coastalsocial.org, register for the event. It's $50, and it's really kind of, Matt and I go back and forth all the time, and really it's that great event where it's not a high stakes cash tournament or anything like that. It's really geared towards the guy that wants to go out, have fun, that might be a little too intimidated on those big tournaments.
Yeah, right.
On those tournament series. But, it's going to be a great event. That's going to happen April 24th here. And then we're also going to have a fall event down in San Diego, September 25th. So it's going to be loads of fun. Hats off to AFCO. They're helping us sponsor this deal. And, we're pulling everyone together. And it's going to be overall really fun.
2 divisions, boat and kayak. Boat division,
Right.
3 people. 3 largest fish, all 3 bass species, and there's a weigh-in right here, right? And then the kayak division is unique. You can fish anywhere in a kayak because you're going to then catch, measure, post it, and then release it, and you can be anywhere to do that, and you just put it up on Tourney X. So the greatest part about the kayak division, we got kayakers all the way from Northern California down to Baja.
Yeah, right.
You can be anywhere and catch
That's bitching.
Think about,
Anyone can get
man, if
involved.
I can get Tourney X and Cedros, I'm going to win this division, right? Think
Yeah.
about that. The 3 largest bass, I'm going to pull 3 10-pounders out of Cedros and win this thing.
Great stuff. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to have you here. It's 85 degrees outside, so we have arranged for you when you walk out of here. It's a spectacular fishing adventure. I know this is going to come as a surprise. There's several beautiful yachts down there. They're gorgeous. They can take you offshore and take you fishing. But we have Alex down there with a trout rod to catch some mackerel for both of you guys right now. And knowing you two guys, you'll go down there and do it and enjoy it.
Oh, in a
Yeah,
heartbeat.
I'm with him with the mackerel. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Wayne, Chris, so good to have you on. Support CCA. They are doing a lot of great work. Once again, Friedman Adventures on YouTube. Please subscribe. Please. You'll make Steve so happy. If you subscribe, hit that little bell, follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And if freshwater is your thing, then Bass Pro, same thing. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Thanks again, everybody. Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thanks, Phil.
All right. And thank you, everybody.